all women are different, but they are all women. This video is androcentric from a men's point of view and is presented as opinion, commentary, and debate. Expressing opinions is not violence. These are ideas to challenge, question, and argue in public because classical liberalism relies on the First Amendment for its dialectic. If you are a feminist, then consider this. If patriarchy truly existed as claimed, feminism could not. And if all men are trash and women are equal to men, then what are we to conclude? Women will die for their children, men will die for their wives and children, and God chose to die for all mankind. Authority rolls up with responsibility. If this framing of facts offends you, click off to a cute cat video. Proceeding further will expose you to gamma bias and criticism directed at ideas, claims, institutions, not at any individual's virtue or dignity. Our method follows the 7 liberal arts: the trivium, grammar, logic, rhetoric, and the quadrivium, arithmetic, geometry, music, and astronomy, and the transcendentals, the good, true, and beautiful. If this framework is not for you, feel free to exit now. It's no disgrace. Women are wonderful. God bless America. Men are great. Feminismus Delendis 8. Dogman, Loyalty, Sacrifice, and Protection, written by Conrad Riker. Available now, links in description. The Disrespect Index, a clinical diagnostic for the institutional and domestic disrespect that a man who does not keep a ledger does not know when he is being robbed. This is not a metaphor. Every time your provision is extracted as entitlement while your judgment is treated as a threat, a withdrawal has been made from an account no banker will trace. Every time your authority is reframed as pathology, your calm recast as rigidity, your sacrifice as invisible background service, a precision instrument has been deployed against you. The Domestic and Institutional Disrespect Index is the ledger that makes the theft legible. Without it, a man dissolves into confusion, apologizing for atmospheres, atoning for moods he did not create. With it, he sees the architecture. Consider what happens when a father corrects his son at a Saturday game and his wife publicly recodes the discipline as embarrassment to perform compassion for the hive. One event is a misunderstanding. 12 events across home, workplace, school, and courthouse is a pattern with an incentive structure, a grammar, and a predicted trajectory. The man who says this keeps happening, but cannot measure it has surrendered agency to bewilderment. The man who measures it has begun the only revolt that matters: accurate perception. Disrespect that you can name, count, and map is disrespect you can refuse to metabolize as self-doubt. This is not grievance. Grievance is what drones traffic in. This is reconnaissance. You cannot defend a position you have not mapped, and you cannot hold a line you did not know existed. Read each dimension not as a wound to nurse, but as a terrain feature to navigate. The index is your compass. The pattern is the terrain. Your self-command is the objective. Measure the cost, name the mechanism, and decide with clear eyes what a man of loyalty, sacrifice, and protection is no longer required to fund. The disrespect pattern in plain view. I'm writing this down not to complain, but to measure. A man who doesn't keep a ledger doesn't know when he's been robbed. The kitchen table, I sat down with a spreadsheet. My hands build the structure of our lives. I put the numbers on the table. The mortgage, the tuition, the retirement glide path. I had optimized the cash flow. I had done the work of the provider. Her response was not critique. It was dismissal. I feel controlled. I am an executive managing a team of 40. I am trusted by my board with millions. But I cannot be trusted by my wife to manage an allowance. My provision is extracted as an entitlement, while my judgment is treated as a threat. The logic of the budget was irrelevant. The hierarchy was inverted. I provide the capital, but she provides the permission. I am not the head of the household. I am the senior accountant, and I must smile through the audit. The school parking lot, my son was testing boundaries at the Saturday game. Nothing dangerous, just the usual drift toward chaos. I pulled him aside, knelt to his level, and gave him a quiet, direct word about self-control. Calm, firm, 30 seconds. When I returned to the bleachers, my wife's face was tight. You embarrassed him, you embarrassed me. She said this within earshot of the mother next to her, ensuring a public audience. The correction I delivered was a father's duty. Her response was a social performance designed to signal to the hive that she was the compassionate parent. and I was the brute. My authority was framed as a defect. Her comfort with that frame was the betrayal. She validated the pity of a stranger over the discipline of a father. Saturday morning, I wanted to fix the fence. She wanted the park. I proposed a sequence: repair, then play. This is not a moral dilemma. It is a scheduling conflict. Instead of negotiation, I received weather. The long sigh, the cold shoulder, the performance of pain. I spent the next 2 hours navigating the emotional minefield. She laid down simply because I wanted to secure the property. My productive impulse was framed as a rejection of the family. My peace of mind became a hostage to her emotional barometer. I found myself apologizing for wanting to fix the gate. I apologized for wanting to protect the perimeter. I was wrong to be right. The therapist's notebook, she booked the appointment. I agreed because the modern marriage demands the performance of doing the work. In the office, she read from her list of grievances. My request for a consistent, sex-neutral standard of discipline was labeled rigid thinking. My silence during her monologue was stonewalling. My desire for an hour of quiet after a 12-hour shift was emotional unavailability. The therapist nodded. Every word I spoke was judged against a rubric of emotional safety. Every word she spoke was validated experience. I saw the trap then. The session wasn't mediation, it was an arraignment. My logos was redefined as pathology. Her pathos was redefined as truth. The institution had a hammer, and my nature was the nail. The dinner table, my daughter asked for a new phone. I explained the rule. Grades first, then privileges. It is an objective standard designed to tie reward to effort. My wife interjected from the sink, but her friends all have one. You're being unfair. My daughter looked at her mother for confirmation, received it, and looked back at me. The expression on her face wasn't anger, it was pity. She has been taught to view my boundaries as arbitrary obstacles rather than protective scaffolding. The woman I married didn't just disagree with me. She recruited my children to see me as the problem. I am the wall between them and what they want. I did not fail in my duties. I provided the house, the fence, the fund, the discipline, and the policy. I gave my loyalty, my sacrifice, and my protection. In return, I received the sigh, the pity, the diagnosis, the public correction, and the revolt. The disrespect is not a series of accidents, it is the operating system of a gynocentric home. This is the stock-taking of a house where the architect is treated as a maintenance man. The question is not whether a man can survive it. The question is whether civilization can survive the complete subversion of the male principle. Clinical diagnostic instrument for institutional and domestic disrespect index. Used by Institute for Men's Rights and Gamma Bias Research Red Pill Science. A forensic instrument measuring the cumulative weight of systemic and interpersonal devaluation imposed upon the male head of household across private, professional, and civic spheres. Answer each line quickly from 1 to 5. Do not try to game the pattern. Some lines are deliberately protective and reverse scored. 1 minus, not at all, 2 minus, a little, 3 minus, noticeably 4 minus, a lot, 5 minus. Totally, this person's mood dictates the household's operational reality, forcing me to navigate my existence based on her fluctuating feelings rather than logic or prior agreements. There is an underlying assumption that I am inherently less capable or dangerous as a father, requiring constant performance to maintain basic parental standing. My children are taught to view my authority as arbitrary or my presence as intrusive rather than protective, seeing me as an obstacle or source of friction. My professional output is treated as a commodity to be extracted, while my judgment is routinely second-guessed, valuing my labor but not my leadership. Institutions treat me as a problem to be managed rather than a citizen to be served, assuming I'm a threat, a fool, or a resource. This person or institution respects my role, responsibilities, and stated boundaries even when we disagree. Asserting my preferences or decisions in public is met with immediate ridicule or correction, socially penalizing my authority for being domineering or out of touch. My final say in household matters is treated as a privilege that can be revoked at any moment, making me the provider, but not the leader. My natural reactions to stress or conflict are labeled as disorders or emotional immaturity, viewed as symptoms of a deficit requiring correction rather than understanding. This person or institution can explain my strongest reasonable concern before answering it. This person or institution corrects problems directly instead of recruiting children, friends, offices, or authorities into the conflict. This person or institution applies the same standard to my conduct and to their own. I walk on eggshells to prevent her emotional outbursts from disrupting my work or peace, making my peace of mind contingent on her emotional stability. This person or institution treats my work, provision, sacrifice, and restraint as real contributions rather than invisible background service. This person or institution accepts calm evidence without escalating to labels, insinuations, or reputation threats. This person or institution supports my lawful parental or household authority where it is reasonable and safe. This person or institution can apologize, repair, and change course when a claim against me proves false or exaggerated. This person or institution separates discomfort from danger and disagreement from harm. My desire to lead or provide is met with a cultural narrative that frames it as oppressive, with society viewing my leadership as a burden on others. This person or institution helps preserve peace, order, and truth, rather than converting every disagreement into a status contest. Scoring key: maximum score 100, research threshold 76 or higher. Forward items 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 13, 19. Use the answer as the points. Protective reverse items 6, 10, 11, 12, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 20. Convert 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into 5 for plain English. High agreement with a forward item raises the score. High agreement with a protective item lowers the score after decoding. 2039. Low minus the tolerable servant, disrespect is occasional and easily forgiven. The man retains functional authority and is viewed as a helpful subordinate rather than a natural leader. From Latin tolerare, to bear. The burden is light enough to carry without breaking the spine of dignity. 40.59. Medium, the managed asset, disrespect is structural and recurring. The man is respected for his utility but not for his personhood, constantly managed and corrected. From Latin manus, hand. The hand that works is held by the hand that commands, not as an equal partner. 60 to 75. High minus the guilty provider, disrespect is pervasive and punitive. The man is presumed incompetent until proven otherwise, and his authority is conditional on his continued sacrifice. From Latin poena, punishment. The provider is punished for his provision, expected to bleed for the privilege of existing. 76 my 100. Severe. The sovereign serf nidus, disrespect is total and existential. The man is a resource to be mined, a threat to be contained, and a child to be corrected with no recourse to natural hierarchy. From Latin servus, slave, the highest form of service is the loss of self, where the man serves not by choice but by the weight of the world's contempt. Disrespect analysis, the disrespect pattern in the case study. You think you're married, you think you're a father, you think you're a contributor. Then one Saturday morning you want to fix a fence. The fence on the property your labor pays for, and within 90 minutes you're apologizing for wanting to protect the perimeter. You don't need a therapist. You need a ledger. The instrument I'm about to hand you is not therapy. It is not a diagnosis. It is a forensic tool developed for internal use. A way to measure the cumulative weight of devaluation that lands on a man who provides, protects, and holds the line, only to find his provision treated as entitlement and his judgment treated as threat. Think of it as a long-necked vessel, narrow at the top, wide at the base, built to hold something precise without spilling. That is what measurement requires, precision under pressure. I will walk you through what this instrument detects using the case study of a man whose situation is not extraordinary, which is what makes it devastating. The kitchen table he built the spreadsheet, mortgage, tuition, retirement glide path, optimized cash flow. The logic was sound, the numbers were clean. Her response, I feel controlled, watch the mechanism. He brought capital and competence. She brought emotion and veto. The budget was never debated on its merits. It was reframed as an act of dominance. His provision, the house, the heat, the food was extracted as a background entitlement, invisible by default. His judgment was the only thing made visible, and it was made visible only to be pathologized. The instrument detects this precisely, provision without reciprocal respect. He is not the head of the household, he is the senior accountant, and the audit never ends. The school parking lot. He corrected his son, calm, knelt to eye level, 30 seconds of firm direction about self-control. The kind of fathering every civilization once demanded and every school once reinforced. His wife's response was immediate and public. "You embarrassed him, you embarrassed me," said within earshot of another mother. The audience was not accidental. It was the point. She used his exercise of legitimate authority as material for a social performance. She signaled to the hive, "I am the compassionate one. He is the brute." His discipline was reframed as cruelty. Her social positioning was purchased with his reputation. The instrument scores this as social shaming of male authority, the public penalization of a father's leadership to purchase maternal social credit. Saturday morning fence, repair versus park visit. A scheduling conflict. His proposal, repair first, then play. A rational sequence. Her response was not negotiation, it was weather, the sigh, the shoulder. The performed wound, 2 hours of emotional fallout because he wanted to secure the property, his labor funds. He ended up apologizing for wanting to fix the gate on the house he pays for. The instrument captures this as emotional volatility functioning as governance. The household operating reality dictated not by agreement or reason, but by her fluctuating internal weather, with his peace of mind held hostage to her emotional barometer. The therapist's notebook, she booked the appointment. He agreed because modern marriage demands the performance of doing the work. In the office, she read from a prepared list of grievances. His request for consistent, sex-neutral discipline standards was labeled rigid thinking. His silence during her monologue was stonewalling. His desire for 1 quiet hour after a 12-hour shift was emotional unavailability. The therapist nodded. Here is what the instrument detects with surgical clarity. The session was not mediation, it was an arraignment. His reasoning was reclassified as pathology. Her emotion was reclassified as data. The institution did not weigh 2 perspectives. It applied a rubric, one designed to pathologize male norms and validate female grievance. His natural communication style was the disease. The clinic had the cure, and the cure was his submission. The dinner table, his daughter asked for a phone. He applied the rule, grades first, then privileges. An objective standard tying reward to effort, the kind of principle that builds character. His wife interjected from the sink, "But her friends all have won. You're being unfair." The daughter looked at her mother, received confirmation, then looked back at him. The expression wasn't defiance, it was pity. She has been taught, not by accident, not occasionally, but through repeated reinforcement, to see her father's boundaries as arbitrary obstacles rather than protective scaffolding. The instrument records this as the single most corrosive pattern it measures, the recruitment of children into contempt for paternal authority. The mother did not merely disagree. She allied with the child against the father over a phone at the dinner table in 30 seconds. Now step back. Look at the pattern. Every domain, financial, parental, domestic, institutional, relational registers the same inversion. His labor is extracted. His judgment is pathologized. His authority is reframed as oppression. His emotional range is classified as disorder. His corrections are publicized as cruelty. His standards are rewritten as rigidity. This is not a marriage problem. This is an operating system. And here's what the instrument does that your feelings cannot. It separates the isolated incident from the pattern. One sigh is not governance. One eye roll is not alienation. One therapy session is not an arraignment. But when the same inversion appears across every domain, when the forward-coded indicators pile up and the reverse-coded indicators vanish, you are no longer dealing with miscommunication, you are dealing with structure. The reverse-coded dimensions matter precisely because they test whether reciprocity exists at all. Does she respect your role even when she disagrees? Does the institution apply the same standard to your conduct and hers? Can the school articulate your concern before dismissing it? Does the therapist separate discomfort from harm? When the answer across every domain is no, the score crosses the threshold and you are no longer guessing. You are reading the instrument, and the instrument is reading your life, the game theory and gamma bias incentives behind the pattern. You will never understand the disrespect pattern until you stop moralizing and start mapping incentives. The question is not whether what happened to the man in the case study was wrong. The question is whether it was strategic, whether the behavior in question produces reliable rewards for the person executing it. It does. That is the horror. And once you see the incentive structure, you cannot unsee it. The frame test, every interaction in the case study, is a test of frame. The kitchen table, will he abandon the budget to soothe her feeling? The parking lot, will he defer to the social audience and stop correcting his son? The dinner table, will he cave on the phone rule to avoid being the villain? Saturday morning, will he apologize for wanting to fix the fence? Each test has a payoff matrix. If he holds frame, he pays an immediate emotional cost: the sigh, the cold shoulder, the public shaming, the grievance list at therapy. If he folds, he pays a structural cost: another inch of authority surrendered, another precedent set, another data point confirming that her emotional weather outranks his judgment. Game theory calls this a repeated game with asymmetric exit costs. He cannot exit the marriage without losing his children, his assets, and his reputation. She can exit at any time with the state's assistance, the court's sympathy, and the hive's applause. This asymmetry is not theoretical. It is the air every married man breathes. When one player can defect with impunity and the other cannot, cooperation is not the equilibrium. Extraction is the reputation market. Why did the wife correct him publicly at the soccer game? Why within earshot of another mother? Because reputation is a tradable currency in female social networks, and maternal compassion is the premium commodity. By framing his discipline as embarrassment, she purchased social credit at the cost of his paternal authority. The other mother's presence was not incidental, it was the exchange mechanism. This is reputation leverage, and it is devastating because it is invisible to men. Men compete through production and status hierarchies. Women compete through reputation and alliance networks. A man who does not understand this dynamic is playing chess while his opponent is playing poker and she is holding his cards. The incentive is structural. Every public correction of her husband signals to the network: I'm not like him, I'm enlightened, I'm safe. The more the culture pathologizes male authority, the more valuable this signal becomes. His leadership is the raw material she trades for status. He is not her partner, he is her social collateral, the emotional governance loop. Why does her mood dictate the household operational reality? Because it works. If emotional volatility produces compliance, if the sigh, the silent treatment, and the performed wound reliably cause him to abandon his plan, apologize for his preferences, and redirect his energy toward her emotional maintenance, then volatility is not a bug. It is a governance strategy. Consider the Saturday morning case objectively. He wanted to repair property. She wanted leisure. Instead of negotiating two adults with competing preferences, she deployed emotional consequence. He apologized. She won, not because she was right, because the mechanism is rewarded. This is a positive feedback loop. Volatility produces compliance. Compliance reinforces volatility. The household recalibrates around her emotional baseline. His peace of mind becomes a contingent good available only when her emotional weather permits. The institutional asymmetry, the therapy session, is the clearest case of institutional incentive capture. Walk through the mechanics. The therapist operates within a professional framework that defines healthy masculinity through female preference metrics, emotional expressiveness, vulnerability, verbal processing. Difference to feelings. A man who wants one quiet hour after a 12-hour shift is not tired. He is emotionally unavailable. A man who wants consistent discipline standards is not principled. He is rigid. The incentive structure for the therapist is obvious. Challenging the female narrative risks being labeled unsupportive, biased, or unsafe professional suicide in a field dominated by female practitioners and female preference frameworks. Validating the female grievance narrative is costless and reputationally rewarded. The therapist is not corrupt. She is optimized. but the effect is identical. The session becomes an arraignment because the framework was designed to produce arraignments. Male communication patterns are the diagnostic category. Female grievances are the evidence. Submission is the treatment plan. The recruitment mechanism, the dinner table scene, is the most strategically significant event in the case study, and the man who underestimates it will lose his children. When the mother overrode the father's phone rule in front of the daughter, she was not being inconsistent. She was building a coalition. The daughter learned 3 things in 30 seconds. Father's rules are negotiable, mother's overrides are final, and paternal authority is an obstacle to circumvent rather than a structure to trust. This is recruitment, and it is incentivized because it produces a reliable ally. A child who views the father as the obstacle and the mother as the liberator becomes a witness, an advocate, and eventually a weapon. In the event of divorce, which the gynocentric legal system makes both easy and profitable, the alienated child is the mother's strongest asset. The incentive is not conscious malice, it is structural logic. Undermining paternal authority in front of children produces short-term compliance. The child sides with the permissive parent, and long-term strategic advantage, the child is pre-alienated. The father who sees this as a disagreement about phones has already lost. The gamma bias engine underlying every mechanism above is a pattern so consistent it qualifies as a natural law of institutional behavior. Call it the asymmetry of empathy. Female distress is amplified, male distress is minimized, female agency is softened. Male agency is treated as inherently threatening. Female claims are presumed credible. Male claims are met with suspicion. Female emotion is data. Male emotion is pathology. This is why the therapist nodded. This is why the school sides with the mother. This is why family law presumes maternal fitness and paternal defect. This is why the workplace extracts male competence while discounting male judgment. The asymmetry is not an accident of individual bias. It is the operating system of every institution that touches men's lives. And here is the strategic point. Once this asymmetry is installed, disrespect becomes free. A wife who publicly humiliates her husband faces no social cost. A therapist who pathologizes male norms faces no professional consequence. A school that treats fathers as threats faces no institutional penalty. A court that presumes paternal inadequacy faces no accountability. When disrespect is costless and respect is risky, the equilibrium is disrespect. Always. The mature male response: score it, name it, stop feeding it. You have the instrument, you understand the incentives. Now I will tell you what to do, and what I'm about to tell you will require more courage than every confrontation you have avoided. Stop ranting. The first discipline is silence. Not the silence of stonewalling, that clinical fiction invented to pathologize male self-regulation. The silence of strategic intelligence. A man who rants is a man who has lost frame. Every outburst is evidence. Every visible frustration is diagnostic material. Every escalation is a gift to the party who benefits from portraying you as unstable, rigid, or controlling. You are not being silenced, you are being disciplined, in the military sense. Composure under fire is not suppression, it is sovereignty. When the sigh comes, do not react. When the public correction lands, do not defend. When the therapist labels you, do not argue, record. Observe, score, move. Gather dated observations. Memory is unreliable. Narratives are contestable. Dates are not. Keep a private, dated, factual log, not grievances, observations. March 15th, proposed budget at kitchen table. Response: I feel controlled. Budget not discussed on merits. March 22, corrected son at soccer game, 30 seconds, calm, kneeling. Wife publicly stated, I embarrassed the family within earshot of another parent. This is not paranoia. This is a man who doesn't keep a ledger, not knowing when he's been robbed. The instrument requires data. Your life is producing it. Capture it. If the day comes when you need competent counsel, and it may, a dated factual record is worth more than every argument you ever won in the kitchen. Score it, honestly apply the instrument without flinching. The threshold exists for a reason. Below it, you may be dealing with ordinary friction, miscommunication, stress, personality clash. Above it, you are dealing with structure. Score forward indicators. Does her mood govern the household? Is your authority treated as a revocable privilege? Are your children recruited against you? Does the institution pathologize your norms? Is your provision invisible? Score reverse indicators. Does she respect your role when she disagrees? Does the institution apply the same standard? Can anyone articulate your concern before dismissing it? Does anyone separate discomfort from danger? Be honest. If the score crosses the threshold, stop interpreting individual incidents as accidents. They are not accidents, they are outputs of a system. Naming the system is the beginning of your freedom. Restore frame. Frame is not dominance. Frame is the commitment to reality over reaction. It is the refusal to let another person's emotional weather determine your operational baseline. When the sigh comes, you proceed with the fence repair. When the public correction comes, you finish the instruction to your son without acknowledging the performance. When the therapy rubric labels you, you state your position once, clearly, and let the record stand. You do not need her agreement. You need your own coordinates. A man who knows where he stands does not need permission to stand there. Set boundaries without theater boundaries are not ultimatums. Ultimatums are negotiations performed at maximum volume. Boundaries are simply the conditions under which you operate. I will manage the budget I fund. You may request changes. You may not reframe fiscal responsibility as control. I will correct my children calmly and appropriately. Public contradiction of legitimate discipline in front of children or third parties is not acceptable. I will attend one therapy session to evaluate whether the practitioner applies sex-neutral standards. If not, I will not return. State it. Do not negotiate it. Do not perform it. Live it. Protect the children. The recruitment mechanism is the most dangerous pattern in the instrument, and it requires the most careful response. You cannot counter-recruit without becoming the thing you are fighting. What you can do is maintain consistent, calm, authoritative presence. Your children need one parent who ties reward to effort, who says what he means, who follows through, and who does not rewrite rules to purchase affection. The phone rule stands. The grade requirement stands. The discipline stands not because you will win the coalition war in the short term. You may not. But because children grow up, and when they encounter reality which does not care about their feelings, does not negotiate with their preferences, and does not reward their contempt for structure, the scaffolding you built will hold. Your wife may teach them to see your authority as oppression. Life will teach them it was preparation. Choose competent counsel. If the instrument confirms what you suspect, do not assume the legal system will treat you fairly. It will not. Family law is not neutral. Therapeutic culture is not neutral. Educational bureaucracy is not neutral. Find an attorney who understands the asymmetry, not a zealot, not a martyr, a professional who knows the terrain. Ask direct questions. How do you handle parental alienation patterns? What is your strategy when the opposing party weaponizes therapeutic language? How do you counter the default maternal presumption? If the attorney cannot answer these questions fluently, find another attorney. This is not the time for ideology. It is the time for competence. Avoid pointless escalation. Not every battle is worth fighting. Not every sigh requires a response. Not every eye roll is an act of war. The instrument exists to help you distinguish between the friction of shared life and the structure of systematic devaluation. Friction is managed through patience, humor, and occasional direct conversation. Structure is managed through boundary setting, documentation, and strategic disengagement from dynamics that feed the pattern. Do not pick fights over phones. Do not argue with therapists who cannot hear you. Do not debate your wife in front of an audience she selected. These are all battles on terrain designed for your defeat. Fight on your terrain, the dated log, the financial record, the consistent presence with your children, the calm refusal to participate in your own arraignment. Judged by repeated patterns, one bad day is not a pattern. One therapy session is not a conspiracy. One public correction is not alienation. But the same inversion appearing across financial, parental, domestic, institutional, and relational domains, consistently, repeatedly, with escalating confidence, is not a series of unfortunate events. It is a system. The instrument's power is longitudinal. Score today. Score next month. Score in 6 months. If the pattern holds, the pattern is the answer. You are not paranoid, you're not rigid, you're not emotionally unavailable. You are a man reading the instrument, and the instrument is telling you the truth. The man in the case study asked the right question, not whether he could survive it. Strong men survive intolerable things every day. The question is whether civilization can survive the complete subversion of the male principle. It cannot, and the restoration begins with a man who keeps the ledger, reads the score, names the system, and stops feeding the machine that grinds him into the senior accountant of his own household. Define before you debate, measure before you react, name before you negotiate, and when the instrument tells you what you already know, believe it. I built this instrument because I needed it myself. I spent years cataloging each slight, each legal asymmetry, each bureaucratic suspicion, each dismissal of my authority as though it were a meteor strike. Anomalous, unfortunate, isolated. It was not isolated. It was a pattern, and a pattern has a source, an incentive structure, a machinery behind it. Once you score it, once you lay all 12 dimensions side by side and tally the weight, you cannot keep pretending your endurance is evidence that the burden is light. Your endurance is evidence that you are strong. The burden is still the burden. Here is what I want you to do. Print the index. Score each domain honestly, every institution, every relationship, every recurring interaction where your provision is extracted and your authority is resented, where your sacrifice is assumed and your dignity is optional. A pattern scored is a pattern named, and what is named can be confronted. You stop negotiating with people and systems that have already decided your role is to pay, comply, and disappear. You stop performing gratitude for disrespect. Then you restore the frame not with anger. Anger is still a concession to their authority over your state. You restore it by withdrawing your competence, your loyalty, and your protection from any structure that scores red across the board and investing them where they are met with reciprocity. You build parallel institutions, brotherhoods, households of order, and you do it with the quiet certainty of a man who has audited reality and found his own conclusion. The spell breaks the moment you stop needing it broken for you. Sponsored book, Dogman, loyalty, sacrifice, and protection. For 30 years, I've watched dogs cut through the nonsense humans drown in. My first German Shepherd, Kaiser, taught me more about respect in 1 week than 50 years of human interaction. He didn't care about my feelings when a trespasser jumped our fence. He reacted, he protected. That's the raw truth modern society tries to bleach out of existence. While keyboard warriors whine about toxic masculinity, my Dobermans have saved my family from 2 home invasions. Real protection doesn't apologize for existing. This book isn't for the weak-willed or the perpetually offended. It's for rational men who see the hypocrisy in a culture that mocks male strength while demanding protection. Dogs expose this lie daily. A pack doesn't vote on leadership. It follows the alpha period. In these pages, you'll find science, not sentiment. Learn why breeding matters in bloodlines don't lie, how testosterone shapes superior guardians in the testosterone advantage, and why discipline creates loyalty in obedience equals freedom. We dissect everything from genetic selection in legacy breeding to emergency tactics in crisis response protocols. If you're a man tired of being told to apologize for your instincts, this is your blueprint. Apply canine principles to command respect, shield your home, and build unbreakable loyalty. You'll see why female support amplifies male leadership in feminine force multipliers and how nutrition fuels dominance in nutrition dominance, historical proof. Territorial imperatives shows how dogs thrived under warriors, not therapists. But if you believe gender is a social construct or that men should embrace vulnerability, stop reading now. Seriously. Go watch reality TV, knit a sweater. This material will offend you, and frankly, your confusion wastes my time for rational men. The proof is in the results. Train a dog with hesitation, and it disobeys. Lead with conviction, and it dies for you. Your choice. Keep drowning in double standards or learn from creatures that never doubt their purpose. Dogman, Loyalty, Sacrifice, and Protection. Written by Conrad Riker. Buy now. Links in description.